at big events, when you get the moment to like enjoy your national anthem, see your flag, just like take a look inward and say like, wow, okay, this is real, this happened, and this is now a written part of history. Over a year ago now, I did this 4-day business, entertainment, media, and sports course with Anita Elbersi. I had been eyeing it for years. I had seen some teammates do it, I had seen other athletes do it, and just was super interested and got kind of, I don't know, seeing what it was all about. And it was cool to get a little bit of a different picture on how athletes or stars and media, you know, public figures, whatever, how you can sort of use your brand to really build a business that can last a lifetime. And for me, I don't know what that could be for myself, but it just gave me a pretty interesting perspective. And I'm still sort of reflecting to see what about the course is actually applicable for my life, but it gave me like a viewpoint on a lot of things that are going on, especially some of the case studies that we reviewed are fairly recent. You know, some of it's about Inter Miami and Beckham and Messi and like how that all went down, and you know, some of it's about YouTube and like the empires that people build in YouTube, and Mr. Beast was one of the ones that we studied. So it was really cool to see just how much possibility there is in the world to do things that are maybe not the conventional, like go to college, get a job, work your way up the ranks. And I never felt like that was something I could do. Once I started skiing, I was like, I'm too late. I'm too late to build into a business like all the rest of the world does. So I sometimes I get this feeling like, you know, I've hit the mark in skiing, but I've missed the mark in the rest of my life. And so it's cool to see that there's other opportunities, and just being creative is the name of the game. I feel like I'm just sort of running around with my head cut off most of the time. I actually struggle a lot with feeling like I'm behind and I'm late and I'm not doing enough or learning enough or active enough, whether it's, you know, being active enough on social media when I'm focusing on training, if it's in the gym or on snow, or I'm not being, you know, active enough in my private life with family and spending enough time with you know, quite a large family that I have, who I love all of them, and then to be able to like cultivate relationships outside of family, friendships and whatnot, and then on the other side, the business side, learning more about business and marketing strategy, and understanding what avenues there are for me to develop into my own world and in business or in philanthropy. And there's just like investment and all of these things that I just feel I don't know enough about, and I'm eager to learn, but there's not enough time in the day. So I really feel like, I think most of the people on this planet hopefully feel the same, that I'm just like, I have nothing figured out and I feel like I'm behind the curve. But at least I know what I'm doing when I'm on the mountain. Like, at least I have that. That's sort of the one thing that keeps me feeling grounded. You know, I still have these days, more often than not, training days, where it's not an exact picture. It could be a beautiful sunny day, it could be bad weather, it could be snowing, it could be raining, whatever. But I have these days so often where it's just like head down, grinding it out, lap after lap. I feel like I'm improving. I feel like it's just uplifting. And those kind of training days where I get to really practice and feel like I'm doing what I love, I'm doing it well, and I'm still getting better at it, that's the whole reason that I'm doing this. I love that part of it. And then racing, I've had a love-hate relationship with racing in the competition side, and you know, that obviously goes with it. That's sort of the purpose of what we do. But I love the training days, and this season was particularly tough with the injury and coming back and struggling in my comeback. And of course I did win the 100th race, I won the 101st race, and so everybody from the outside saw it as like a really amazing season, successful comeback. But then GS was a bit more challenging and brought to light some pretty significant mental challenges I was facing, and I didn't know how to overcome those, and I just didn't know if there would be enough time to overcome them. And there was a there was some really great high highs and some really low lows, and I don't know exactly what I'm what I'm getting at here. Actually, oh no, what I'm getting at is there was a point in the season where I really was thinking maybe I should just kind of go home and like at least let this season be what it is. It's probably too soon for me to be coming back. Maybe I pushed that a little bit too hard. And it was just, no sooner was I thinking that than I had a day of training at the very end of the season in GS where things started to finally click a little bit. And I had those like scary PTSD flashes of crashing and some of the stuff that was holding me back before, but it was like it came in and out, and it could pass through me, and I could still take the run, and I could still push. And it was a really small step in a way, but for me it felt monumental because it was the first sign that I'd had since the crash it was the first sign that I might be able to get back to top form in GS. And that was really meaningful before the season ended. So those are the days that keep me coming back. I don't really believe in like destiny or fate being decided for you, but there are some things where I'm like, it's just too perfect. And the psychology behind that, like there's another way around there. And maybe we get there, maybe we don't, but there's like, we gotta walk around this mountain. We can't just bust through it. And, so then the injury happened, and I was like, I see, okay. And, flash forward to Sestriere, and at that point I was starting to pull everything together in slalom again and really having some good training days, and it took time. And Sestriere, that slalom fell at the perfect time for me to be physically ready to take on 2 runs of a slalom at my top level. Mentally, I was still a little bit foggy. I really struggled to remember the course, especially in the second run after the full day of racing before leading to that. The second run course, I struggled to memorize it and remember it. And I was mad because my coach set the course and I was like, you set such a complicated course and I can't remember it, and it took me like way too long to inspect, and I'm not going to be able to ski this. And all my coaches, they were all like, oh God, she's spiraling. And in the end, it was a kind of course that matched my style perfectly, but I was just like mentally done at that point. And so to be able to still pull through and ski that well and earn that victory was very special. But it wasn't like, I didn't think that I deserved it in Killington, so it wasn't like I had been robbed of something and then it was vengeance. It was just like, oh, this makes sense somehow that this would happen now instead of then or 2 weeks from now. And it was special. Paula was on the podium with me again, and the last time I was on the podium with her was in Semmering for my 80th victory. That was a really special one because I got to share it with her, and Sestriere was really special again because Paul was on the podium, and all of our teammates were there, and we all got to kind of have a little bit of a celebration together. And those are the moments that make it special. But like, that's why it was special, not really 100 or not everything leading up to it. It was just like, finally we get to breathe, and finally we got to really release the Share Winter campaign and get things going for donating for Share Winter and try to move the needle on increasing accessibility to winter sports. So that was something that had been a long time coming, a long time in the making, and it all was tied around the 100th victory. So the fact that I didn't get it in Killington I was like, I'm so sorry, everybody, we just gotta press the pause button here. But we got to do that anyway. It's mostly exposure to skiing, and like every time I get in the start gate, whether it's a race or training, I'll have these like flashes, or it's almost like a memory, but it's in wherever I am, and they're called intrusive thoughts, and it's a symptom of, or a signal of post-traumatic stress disorder. But at this point in time, I don't check the boxes for post-traumatic stress disorder anymore. It was sort of a temporary reality for during my return to the race season. And each week I even got a little bit better and better, and my GS started to get better, and I was more comfortable skiing faster, and I didn't really have a chance to show that in World Cup racing, but I could see it in training, I could see it in interval times, and I could just feel it in my body that I was more willing to take on speed. So now for the rest of the summer, as we kind of head into the bulk of like on snow prep, it's pushing my limits for what I'll take on with the speed of GS skiing. Slalom, I'm less worried about because I got back to a top level there already, so that's just repetition. GS is like trying to stretch the rubber band of what I feel my limits are again and again and again. And it's essentially proving to myself that more often than not, skiing high-speed GS doesn't end in a puncture wound. Which I get, I know that, but it's like the subconscious reaction that happens in the body. That was something I didn't really have a lot of control over in returning this season, but I'm regaining control over that by doing it. Feeling familiar, just knowing which way's up and which way's down. It sounds so silly, but this is simple things like knowing where you need to go to the bathroom, and understanding the lay of the land, knowing approximately where your hotel or your house or lodging is going to be, where the finish area is, where the start of the race hill is, which chairlift you need to take. And this will be my first Olympics going to a place that is slightly familiar, where we'll just be essentially driving down the road from our last World Cup race before the Olympics. We'll just drive from, I don't even know where it is, it's in maybe Italy or something, but we'll just be driving from there to Cortina, and then we're in Cortina. And rather than taking an 8-hour flight and having to deal with jet lag again, which was the case for both South Korea and Beijing, it's an environment that's much more conducive to most of the alpine athletes being able to bring out their top level of skiing. So that is something I'm looking forward to, that this has the chance to be a really exciting Olympics, especially in alpine, because it is the environment we're more used to, and the snow conditions and the hill preparation and all of the things that we're all more used to. So it's not just me, it's actually the entire competition level for the whole field has the potential to be really strong and really exciting. I kept saying, in the last year or so, I kept saying 3 to 5 years. But now that means 2 to 4 years, but I'm still like, probably still 3 to 5 years. So I think the future's pretty open still. The one thing that's becoming more and more of a consideration for me is just what I want for the rest of my life as a family. Like when I want to have kids, how that's going to go, starting the process. You know, that can be a 2-year-long process. You don't just get to retire from ski racing and say, now I want a baby. You know, it's like there's a lot that goes into building a family yourself, and I don't see it as a really great option to step away from the sport, start a family, and to come back. Not for me personally, but you see that happening more and more in women's sports now, which is really exciting, that there's more opportunity to continue your passion and continue your profession even after starting a family. But I think the way that Alex and my relationship is, like, we're gonna need to try to settle a little bit before we can take the next step. And so those are the things that I consider when I think about stopping racing, is like, what are the rest of the things that I want to have a fulfilled life? And that's definitely part of it. So it might end up being that I stop racing before I want to, simply because I want these other things more. And we're racing constantly anyway. For most alpine racers, the World Cup season is as important as the Olympics. So of course it's the Olympic season, and we put a lot of that carries a lot of weight, but we're racing the next weekend again, and we'll be racing every weekend through until March. And it's pretty unique in that sense. There are some other sports with their professional competition season, but I think alpine it's a lot more like sports like basketball or football or something, where there's this one big event, but like the rest of the season is just as important. And it makes it hard to say when you really want to prioritize what. Because I would say that more than an Olympic medal, I would like another shot at an overall globe if I had to choose. So that means I've really got to prioritize the entire World Cup season, October to March. And I might not be in a position to do that again. So it's just a lot to consider.
You have a lot on your mind.
A lot on my mind. When the national anthem plays and you're singing and the flag's getting raised, it's just, that's the main moment where I feel most connected with home, with Team USA, with the fact that I'm representing the US. That's like the moment that at least for me, that I get to truly reflect on how so much work has paid off in this moment. And it is, you hear a lot of athletes talk about this. I just heard something, I think Scotty Scheffler said something like, winning is unfulfilling. And it's true. The actual act of winning something does not fulfill you nearly as much as you would like it to, or as the way people speak about it. Like it's the greatest moment of your life. In fact, it isn't. It's a really, really exciting burst of energy for a moment, and then you have to get back to work. And if you're somebody who wins repetitively, then you're probably of the mindset of what's next, not just like soak up the moment and then I'm done, but what else? How do I keep this ball rolling? How do I make it to the next level? How do I take the next step? So at big events, when you get the moment to like enjoy your national anthem, see your flag, just like take a look inward and say like, wow, okay, this is real, this happened, and this is now a written part of history. That's a pretty special moment. Obviously the snow conditions vary a lot, and you can have anything from icy snow that's very slick ice to icy snow that has a lot of grip in it. And the way that our ski technicians will tune our edges changes depend on slick ice or grippy ice. And then you have, more like hard, compact, grippy snow, which is what we tend to see in Colorado after a few days where the snowpack gets firmed down, and then it becomes pretty grippy and pretty compact, and it's like hero snow to ski, and that can be wonderful depending upon the moisture level. If it's too wet is actually not that bad. If it's too dry, it can be really aggressive on the edges. So that feels like it's like you're skiing on styrofoam, and you can't get off the edges of your ski. And that's how it was pretty much in South Korea and Beijing. It was so dry, and so the snow was all man-made, which also produces a different snow crystal, and it becomes really aggressive. And then with the wind every single day, it's wind around 40 miles per hour every single day, it dries out the snow even more, and then it becomes like you're skiing on this hollow styrofoamy surface. And that also makes a real big difference of what ski equipment you're using, what brand, because all the brands build their skis in different areas of Europe, or maybe even Asia, or maybe in the US, wherever. And depending upon what wood they use, what trees they use, what kind of metal they use, what base, what plexiglass, it creates a structure of a ski that tends to work better on different conditions. So you'll see that a Rossignol might tend to perform really well in softer, wetter, spring-like conditions. And a head ski would tend to work really well on pretty dry, aggressive conditions, Beijing. And then atomics have I would say, a really wide range of where they ski well, but perform really, really well on icy conditions, especially if it's pretty slick. Aggressive, like hard, compact snow. That's kind of where Atomics will tend to shine. So most of the ski companies are in this their own race to see who can develop a ski that works on more variety of snow conditions than the other companies. So it's pretty interesting when you get into the thick of it, that the snow conditions, we feel a big difference. And it's a huge part of our equipment testing to figure out how to label snow conditions and how to, bring the R&D that we're doing back to the development team at home base, at Atomic, at the factory, and say, these felt a little too aggressive, the tip was picking up too much, the tail was sliding out, I felt like it was pushing me in the back seat, or I need a little more grip, whatever, and how they adjust small things on the skis to account for those remarks. So it gets pretty detailed. I do think that at certain races, especially big events, that is, it is like your one moment to shine. And if something goes wrong, then it's like you failed. And when fans hear an athlete talk about the snow conditions, oftentimes they'll say they're just making excuses. But I really think people do need to take into account how much the conditions do play a role. And then still, the athlete needs to take accountability. What could they have done better? How could they have prepared? Whatever role they have to play in that. But I'm like, this isn't just BS. Like, you're not just making it up. It's not smoke and mirrors. The conditions are a really big thing, and a very big variable that's totally uncontrollable in our sport. And then you've got sunshine, rain, fog. That can change the snow conditions within the race too, from bib 1 to bib 15. So there's too many things to count. The faster you go, the more you feel all of the universe is sort of pushing you back. That's the wind is pushing you back. In the mountain, if it's getting steeper, it's natural for you to start to move your weight back and sort of almost like shy away from the speed and what's to come. And the trick that we're all trying to work on is how to dive into that speed and sort of like go head first into the vortex kind of, and take on the wind and find a way to be more aerodynamic. And basically all we have to work with is planks on our feet and gravity, but somehow we have to find a gas pedal. So then you're trying to balance your pressure at the right part of the turn to bend the ski so that it slingshots you further into the next turn faster. And it can be quite exciting. And I think every time I get back to skiing after a break, after the summer period of strength training, I have to relearn how to handle speed again. I have to be able to just work my way back up to it, because you definitely don't just start right off the bat going the fastest that you can go. It's just something you kind of work back up to. So every year we're kind of reinventing the wheel a little bit, but it's pretty exciting once you get into a really good, like, fluid state. And when you're at your most comfortable with speed, then it feels really secure to go that fast, actually. But only when you're comfortable with it.